In the previous video, we have learned about the meaning of direct speech, indirect speech, reporting verb, reported speech, and also we have discussed the present tense. When we change direct to indirect speech, the present tense changes in indirect speech. We have seen all the forms, how all the forms of present tense change in indirect speech. In this video, we shall discuss the past tense, how the tense of the verb, the past tense, changes in indirect speech. So, let us look at the past tense. Just like present tense has 4 forms, similarly past tense also has 4 forms. Simple past, past continuous, past perfect, and past perfect continuous tense. Now let us see how past tense changes in indirect speech as we change direct to indirect speech. So let us see the first form of past tense, that is simple past tense. When we change simple past tense to indirect speech, it changes to past perfect tense. For example, Rohan said, I went to park. Here, tense of the verb went is in simple past tense, and so it changes to past perfect tense as had gone. Rohan said that he had gone to park. The second form of past tense is past continuous tense. When we change direct to indirect speech, past continuous tense changes to past perfect tense. For example, John said, we were singing a song. Here this sentence is in past continuous tense, and so it changes to past perfect continuous tense as John said that they had been singing a song. Okay? Now let us see the third form of past tense, that is past perfect tense. Remember, past perfect tense and past perfect continuous tense do not change, they remain the same in indirect speech. You need to remember. For example, Rina said to her, you had taken a book. This sentence is in past perfect tense. The tense of the verb is in past perfect tense, and therefore it remains same in indirect speech as Rina told her that she had taken a book. Similarly, past perfect continuous tense also remains the same. For example, Jivan said he had been sleeping. It is in past perfect continuous tense, and therefore it remains as it is in indirect speech. As Jivan said that he had been sleeping. Okay? Having been seen, past tense, now let us look at the future tense. Just like present tense and past tense have 4 forms, similarly, future tense also has 4 forms. That is simple future tense, future continuous tense, future perfect tense, and future perfect continuous tense. Now let us see how future tense changes in indirect speech. So let us look at the first form of future tense, that is simple future tense, will. When we change direct to indirect speech, simple future tense will changes to would. For example, Robin said, she will pass the exam. Here, the tense of the verb will is in simple future tense, and therefore it changes to would in indirect speech. As Robin said that she would pass the exam. Here, tense of the verb will is in simple future tense, and therefore when we change this into indirect speech, it changes to would. Okay? Let us look at the second form of future tense, that is future continuous tense. When we change this to indirect speech, it changes to would be. Okay? Future continuous tense, the verb will be changes to would be. For example, he said to me, you will be playing. It is in future continuous tense, and in indirect speech it changes to would be as he said that I would be playing. Tense of the verb will be changes to would be in indirect speech. Now let us look at third form of future tense, that is future perfect tense. When we change it to indirect speech, the tense of the verb will have changes to would have. For example, she said, I will have cooked the food. The tense of the verb will have cooked is in future perfect tense, and so when we change this to indirect speech, the verb becomes would have cooked. For example, she said, I will have cooked the food. It becomes as she said that she would have cooked the food in indirect speech. Now, let us look at the last form of future tense, that is future perfect continuous tense. The tense of the verb will have been changes to would have been in indirect speech. For example, he said, I will have been playing violin. The tense of the verb will have been changes to would have been in indirect speech. As he said that he would have been playing violin. Okay, so in this video we have seen the past tense and the future tense, how tense of the verbs changes in indirect speech. We have discussed all the forms of the verbs. When we change direct to indirect speech, the tense of the verbs change